in my lifetime, I remember I made my first computer in 1979, and it had a quarter of a K of memory. That's all I could afford, and that quarter of a K cost me £35, which was more than my weekly salary at that time. And so it had one of the first 8-bit processors called Scamp and stuff, and I had to put a hexadecimal. I learned so much from this: a hexadecimal keyboard on it and a little calculator display. And then we've gone from that to, well, just think of what the power that's in your mobile phone. Incredible power. And so on, and and it's just, and look at the game. So take for instance AI and gaming, and which gaming and AI are very close to each other, and they've always have been. But take the first game I remember was a game called Pong, and it was 2 little tennis balls like this, and it was, to me as a young man, it was the most incredible thing.
It was amazing. I'm sure it was.
And you could bounce this ball there, and then the ball would go the whatever, and then so you see in my life, see that, and then now I look at gaming and it's like photoreal. It's like photoreal.
It's completely immersive, right? It's an experience.
So it's gone from this little digital thing doing that in my lifetime to this thing that is virtually there, real. And so you can see the speed of technology is just accelerating hugely, and of course that's what's going to bring all these things. And there's a lot of good points to robotics and AI. I mean, this is where I'm working in with social care.
I was about to get there, Tony, absolutely, because your latest work involved with assistive social care robotics, right? Yes, so developing new assistive technology and social care robots. Could you expand a little bit, because this is tech for good. This is really helping, right, elderly and people who are ill, and
This is my complete aim with the Altair robots and with the latest one called Scamp. And what they are is they're assistive robots. But the thing is that with vision and sort of simple AI, because I'm not going to say that the AI in my robot, they are semi-autonomous, my robots, but they're not going to take over the world, and they've got an on-off switch and so on. But the thing is that robots can start doing good, simple things. And the big thing I'm working on with robotics is companionship, because one of the saddest things with the elderly, for instance, is they're left on their own. And it's just, I mean, they're lonely and so on. So robots at this point, what they can't do is handle people. We can't build a robot that can get someone into bed and outside of bed. You can do it. I mean, the Americans do it. There's a robot called the Bear, and it's a military robot, and it can take injured men off the battlefield and stuff. But there's the legal aspects of litigation on this is incredible. Can you imagine you make a robot and it can lift people and this, and then it malfunctions, and then they get crushed or that the litigation would be, I mean, I don't think we could ever do it because of that. But there's lots of things and cooking as well. Cooking is a very difficult thing to do. It's weird, isn't it, that you would think that was quite automated, but there's lots of other things. So what the Altair robots do is they give help for loneliness, for instance, and we've developed a conversation engine, which is quite primitive, but it's a parser and the parser looks for news on the internet that it knows that the user likes, and that could be a soap opera or something like that. And then the parser then puts elements of that into the conversation engine and tries to build up a fresh conversation all the time. So it might say something about something's happening, a program we got here called EastEnders or Coronation Street, and it does it in a very simple way in conversation. So the conversation's always fresh. What wouldn't work is if it was just automated stuff that was randomly coming out and it didn't have any meaning. So conversation with the user would get very boring, because it would all be saying the same thing all the time. But if you could then bring news points of interest that they are interested in, then robot can say, oh, do you know that Dot Cotton left EastEnders or something like that, the character? And so it then can generate this very simple conversation. And it's very simple at the moment, because that's a huge natural language processing is a huge thing, but it sort of works. And what happens is that people get very involved with the robot, especially because the Altair robots have got 32 emotional on the eyes and the mouth, and so it has an emotional look. And so if it sees that you're worried, then the Altair eyes will look worried, and the mouth will drop like this, and so on, and show that it's concerned. And so you get this. These robots they're not intelligent by themselves or anything like that, but they're running algorithms that are there to just help and help the user. And so there's so many things. So there's company. There's the thing is that there's patient monitoring. The Altair robots have lots of sensors, huge sensors. The whole robot is censored from top to bottom. We have thermal imaging, so we can just when the robot looks at the face, it can absolutely analyze heat and wherever. I mean, for instance, if there's an abscess or in your mouth, I mean, this area would be hotter, and it does. The algorithms look at that. And we get BPM and blood sugar when you put your hand on the claw. And so and generally it's looking after the person, and I use microwave radar, and microwave radar is really interesting because it can see if someone's laying down. This is again new technology, so we could see things like if someone's laying down or if they've fallen, and then the robot will autonomously sort of ask, "Are you okay?" And so it's this companion again. And of course, if it doesn't get an answer, then it knows that it should take that up into some sort of status of emergency, because it's not got a result. But if the person's on the floor, because as I say, with this technology, we can see that they're on the floor, not on the couch, if you like. So they could be having a sleep on the couch, but if they're on the floor, there's something sort of wrong. And so the algorithms sort of look at that and make decisions. There's monitoring of medication, and where the robots, give the user their pills and tells them, and also the other thing I'm interested in is monitoring food intake and liquids intake, which can be a real problem with the elderly. So the robots can sort of work that out as well.